Hello, gang. It's 11. It's Sunday, and it's 11. And we have to do the nonsense Instagram-y thing at the beginning, where we wait. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit like a strange therapy session, where it's just me talking to myself. So, that's all a bit weird when you're just talking to yourself, isn't it? Hey, Mark! Hey! Don't do the dodo. People's names. It's Sunday at 11. Happy Sunday, everybody. Now, you're probably a little bit more prepared than I am, but I'm going to admit that I looked at the clock and I still had 2 minutes and I'm not even brewed. And you can't rush things like that, can you? I have to have tea. Tea has to be really hot for me, like really, really hot. So I decided I would wait on it. So you're brewing with me. Somebody said on Instagram that they recognise this mug, that they reckon this mug is made, it is handmade. I don't know who it's from. I just got it in a really cute gift shop. It doesn't have their name on it. You know, like when you used, that might be it. I wonder if that's it. There's like I can't tip it because the tea will end up all over me. There's like a little inscribed logo in the bottom of it. Wouldn't it be really cool if it was their friend's, obviously it's my mug now, but if it was their friend's mug? I love that. Small world. So there's free plants today, gang. Free plants and free flowers. So hey, Jammy. I don't know what to call people based on your sometimes crazy names. See, look, Philip Chapman. That's easy. Carol says it will have a mark. All potters do. Oh wow. Oh well, then it does. This little strange thing looks. I wish I could show you. Can I? Maybe if I bring it. Can you just? Oh yeah, you can. Look, just there. It's like a little. I'm looking at the level of this at the top. It's like a little leaf with a little line through it. So if you recognise it, I'd love to know if it was theirs. So there's all sorts of stuff I'm going to talk about today. Free plants and free seeds. Who doesn't love those? We've been having a plant sale because of the big move that's happening. So I've been getting rid of lots of plants, indoor and outdoor, and stuff. And there is... hey, Dave. And I think there's it's the time of year to get free seeds and free flowers in your garden. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a minute. But I hope you're having a lovely Sunday and I hope it's going well. I'll give you a sort of indication as to how my Sunday's going so far. I've had a really tiring week. I haven't had any time off for about 2 weeks because at the weekend I've either been driving to friends and stuff. And this is how my Sunday is going so far. I woke up this morning because the dog needed a wee. So Marley barked because yesterday. So Mr. Adorable had his family around who are as adorable as he is. I utterly love his family so much. Anyway, we had the family around and I did chicken. So there's this farm shop that I buy all of my meat from. Lovely Deersbrook Farm, where we did the Saturday kitchen thing, if you saw that. And they have free range chickens. My criteria for eating meat is it must be loved. I want it to have like a head massage. I want it to be tucked up at night. I want, kisses on the forehead. Mwah, thanks very much for being an animal. I want their life to be like a living spa, and only then will I eat the meat. So there's this gorgeous free range meat. I'm just going to drip. Ignore me just while I drip. And so I had my free range chicken, roasted them, I smoked them on the barbecue for about 2 hours, and they were utterly delicious. I always think, with things like meat, even if you're not a vegetarian, or even if you are a vegetarian who sometimes eats meat, for health reasons or whatever, I do think that you should honour the animal when you eat the meat. You shouldn't just... I think you need to take time over cooking so that it's gorgeous and lovely and in honour of the fact that you're eating a life, right? And then in turn, it sort of makes you enjoy the animal and enjoy the food a little bit more and makes you sort of prep it a little more. Anyway, Mark's making a bug house today. Awesome. Making bug houses is much better than buying them. I bought tons. So I went through this phase of buying a bug house everywhere I was. Hey, everybody. Wisteria and Tasneem, hello. And so everywhere I went, if there was a shop, like sometimes you go to a garden centre or like you go to a stately home or I don't know, wherever. And if in the shop they had a bug house, I'd buy a bug house so that we've got a big collection of bug houses. I did have about 35, something like that, on a big wall to decorate it. And everyone had a story. But I decided to stop doing that, because actually making a mark, you're right, it's so easy and it's so much fun. We had on Instagram somewhere, there will be to the farm last year, or the year before maybe, we had the team from Neil's Yard Remedies, the hand soapy like body place people. They came up for a whole day to do like a community project, and we made bug houses, loads with other stuff as well. We had a whole wall, the other side of the barn. Maybe I'll show you when the weather's a bit nicer. It's not great weather today, is it? Like hunkered down with tea and a cardigan. I was promised, by the way, that it was going to be gorgeous and hot, and I was going to be in the garden today wearing next to nothing, doing weeding and gardening. And it is not wearing next to nothing weather. It is definitely not. First sip of the tea on a Sunday. You can join me. It's brew tea, English breakfast today. Just one moment. Oh, bliss. There's nothing like a really hot cup of tea made with loose leaf. Hey Aaron, how are you? Hey Mick. So, this is how my Sunday morning's going. I woke up this morning and put my head through the armhole of my t-shirt. So when I was like struggling to get my head in my t-shirt and thought, nah, that's an armhole, I realised, okay, so that's the way today is going to go. So if in a minute I spill hot tea all over my Eagle Smugglers mark, yes, they will be, well, they won't be, but they were going to be on. So I know we've got like a little community here of people who love nature as much as I do and love the impact and effects of nature. And as you'll know, 2016, we started the big research study into the impact that nature has on health, well-being and behaviour of human beings. And that's when I got really, really interested in the sort of science behind it as well. Hey, Luke, I hope you've got clothes on. It always unnerves me when you watch me without anything on. And so when we started that piece of research, I realised just how important forest schools were. And I was speaking to somebody this week about forest schools, because she's a forest school teacher and she just started doing forest schooling. And she said, oh, by the way, if you're wondering about the t-shirt, just one moment. That's as sexy as I get. I can't do sexy. This is the one of the many Roots, Wings and Other Things podcast merchandise, official merchandise t-shirt. And you'll notice it's tea, it's calendula leaf and a cup of tea. I love wearing these in the garden because they're super soft. It's 100% organic cotton. They're really lovely. You can get them in the shop if you want them. If you don't want one, don't go to the shop. Simple as that. I like them. They come in lots of different colours as well. So, yeah. So she was starting a forest school and teaches in forest schools. And she said, the problem is I'm finding it really difficult to prove that they work. You know, how do we evidence that the kids improve or that they, learn things? And other than the obvious, I said, well, just, they should do a standardized test at the beginning. So they should do, basic English, math, science, whatever you want to chart at the beginning. And then after 6 weeks of forest school or 3 months or whatever, they do the same test again. And then you just kind of compare. That's a simple way of doing it. Probably 3 of those tests would be more efficacious in terms of a sort of linear line of improvement. I said, but also, don't forget that our emotional well-being is subjective, and it's entirely valid to chart that. Asking somebody how do you feel, and them scoring sort of 1 to 10, 10 being utterly amazing and joyful and really happy, and 1 being really not very good at all. Anybody can chart in the morning. How do you feel right now, and they can give you a number between 1 and 10, even if the 1 and 10's a bit subjective. But then if they do that at the beginning of the day, when they first get to forest school, and then at the end of the day, they give you that number again, if that's always improved, then you've got categorical evidence from a entirely emotional well-being perspective that they feel better as a result of going to the forest school. And of course, if you feel better about doing something, that's going to improve everything in your life, your concentration levels, your ability to want to do more, your psychosocial skills, your learning and development skills. So I started to think about forest schools and thought, you know what, as kids, children spend the most amount of time in perhaps the most critically important time in their life, right? So it's the most, it's a period of our lives where I'm just going to move you a tiny bit around here because the light is annoying me there. We spend the most amount of time at school, which is during our key critical behavioural development period. And we spend more time at school than we do with our own family during that key period of our life, where actually that's the most important developmental period of our life. So I got thinking and I thought, if I ever have children, if I'm ever responsible for kids, I don't think I want them going to a mainstream school where they're in a box being taught in old Victorian standards, an absolute tinderbox for bullying, because kids can be pretty nasty, can't they? Kids and old people, I think. Kids and old people have they've got something about them, haven't they? They can be really nasty. I mean, everybody can be nasty, but kids and old people have it down. So it got me thinking that perhaps actually forest schools and forest school elements and encouraging education within nature probably should be a really, really big setting, a really sort of big focus for our importance, that we should perhaps, lobby a bit more about and encourage people to do that more. Because we know that we're much more stressed being in four walls, aren't we? And then cooped up indoors all day. So I think we should definitely sort of think about that a little more. When you think about how many kids are like hunched up now and looking at their phones, and you watch them and they're all kind of that, and they're sort of hunched forwards because they're used to sort of being on the phone all the time. In fact, do this for me now, right? Wherever you are right now, just forcibly drop your shoulders down and back. It instantly makes you feel more relaxed, doesn't it? It's like magic, like that. Because you don't realise how tense you hold it, but if you forcibly push your shoulders towards the floor and then back and just relax, it immediately kind of makes you sink down and think, oh, that's lovely. I can have a little nap now. Wouldn't it be funny if one Sunday, one Elevenses, it's just me just dozing in the corner with my grey hair poking through my cardigan on, rocking on. So if we reduce screen time, which we know, increases cerebral stress and is a key link to depression in young people, we encourage them to move more, because movement, of course, we know is a really good indicator for reducing stress, improving blood pressure and heart rate regularity, and also our concentration. Wouldn't that be, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it, to encourage more people to be outside? So, yeah. I think maybe we got the importance wrong. It's like qualifications. Qualifications are nuts. I was talking to somebody this week in their mid-40s about the fact that they were worried about a changing career because they didn't have any qualifications. All they did was a qualification years ago. And I thought, well, what does a qualification show you? It shows you on that one day that you were good enough to pass, but why do you need a qualification? I can understand if you're a surgeon. If you're thinking about being a doctor, please absolutely go get a medical degree and get qualified. I think we're all cool with that. But otherwise, I don't think we really need. There's a lot of things you don't need a qualification for. You can deem competence. I always think that there's this obsession at the minute to be qualified in stuff. This obsession to go and be trained in like evidence and prove that you can do it. But you don't have to have a piece of paper to prove that you can do something, do you? I've worked with some utter arses that are teachers. Formal teachers, and some utter arses that are all pilots. Cass saying pilots, that's very true, yes. Yeah, if you're a pilot, please do get qualified. Or a pharmacist. I'm getting it. I understand there's a lot of things we definitely absolutely should have people qualified in. I get it. But there's also a lot of places where, you can be really good at something or passionate, or an amateur. The word amateur comes from amor, to love. So you can be a great enthusiast. I think like Charles Darwin, I listened to last night. Oh my God, if you haven't watched I haven't finished all of it. I fell asleep halfway through because I've been really tired. But Mr. Adorable made me watch this great thing on Netflix about fungi. Or if you're American, fungi. It is fungi. But they say fungi a lot. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely like mind-blowing. And one of the things in there is there's a chap in there who's just obsessed with fungi. He spends his entire life searching for them, sampling them, collecting them, telling scientists about them. He has no qualification, but he's considered like the best. Hey Lou, he's considered the best person for fungi, and he has no qualifications in it. So I just think we should be a little bit more passion-led. We should be a bit more. It'd be lovely to encourage children not to be obsessed about going to uni. How many friends do you know who have been to university, got a degree, and now do something totally irrelevant to the degree they got at university? In fact, loads of my friends who did medicine, in fact, probably more of my friends who did medicine who didn't, are not in medicine anymore. So there's this obsession, I think, where we funnel kids into the idea of getting a qualification in something rather than finding their passion. And I think that's totally relevant halfway through life in your 40s. Okay, you got a degree in biomechanical sciences and that's what you did for 20 years of your life. It doesn't mean to say you have to be qualified in something. You could find your passion in something and create a space. If you want to carve a niche, if you want to be a somebody in that space, you can still do that with passion. Maybe you don't want to be a somebody. Maybe you just want to do the thing. Well, then do the thing. And as Kath quite rightly said, if that is, flying a plane or surgery or something like that, probably go get some sort of qualification. But don't worry too much about it. So that's my thing. Anyway, listen. I did want to talk to you about free plants and free seeds, because it's the time of year. Oh, what's this? Kath said, science used to be many enthusiastic amateurs. Exactly. Oh, that was my thing. That was the thing I forgot. This is the thing chatting to you on a Sunday, is I go off on all different things and I forget what I'm talking about. This is why I need someone physically in the room, like a handler, to go, do you want to go back to the thing that you started that you forgot about because you ended up talking about your cardigan and your cute little t-shirt. So, yes, in that Netflix show that Mr. Adorable and I were watching, it was telling me, which I didn't know about, that Charles Darwin was just an amateur. He was just an amateur scientist, and that's how the Victorian movement of the development of science came about. Is there were just lots of people who were interested in, probably a bit wealthy. Let's be honest. They had a bit of spare time, didn't have to work. To wake up in the morning, have their tea, and think, oh, what shall I do today? I'll go for my constitutional and get obsessed about conkers. I don't know, whatever. He was. I didn't know that. I just thought he was like a proper scientist, and that's what he did all his life. He was just an amateur scientist. In fact, terrariums. 1 second. I've got a big one here. Stop it now. I've got a big one here. Terrariums. The original terrariums came in something called a Wardian case. So they weren't glass like this. They looked like a mini greenhouse, sort of metal constructors, and then had glass panels. It looked like a really small greenhouse. They were created, and the science of transporting plants from other countries and bringing cuttings back and stuff were created by an amateur. He was actually a physician, a general physician, a GP in London who just loved plants and loved gardening. And one day, accidentally, he trapped something in a bottle with a cork on it and noticed that there was a bit of fungi, probably, and spore, and a fern started growing inside the bottle. And that's where he got the idea that, maybe, so if something can grow enclosed inside an environment like this, then maybe, actually, I'll put this back before I drop it, maybe it's possible to grow plants and keep plants alive inside a case. And so that's exactly how that came about. And isn't that wonderful? So kids should be encouraged for that. Oh, that's a really lovely thing. Lou said, follow your passion, don't chase the post-nominals. I totally agree. So anyway, Alex said, what are the plants? This is a peace lily that needs a little bit of water today because it's been a little bit neglected. This gorgeous thing here, I knew somebody was going to ask me about this. As I saw it in the corner, I thought, oh God, please don't somebody ask me. This is an exotic. It's quite rare. I will tell you what it is in the comments because I always forget the name of it. But I've got it written down. And it's stunning, isn't it? It's really lovely. It really loves it in here. They like warm and sunny places. So when I move, I'm a bit worried about all the houseplants, I have to say, because they all love it in the places they've got. But houseplants can be a little bit fickle. Oh, I'll tell you what I did buy. My best friend has the most gorgeous, you probably saw last week, or was it last week or the week before? The week before. The most gorgeous bird of paradise, huge. And so inspired by her bird of paradise, I bought one as well, but a little one. Give me 20 seconds, you can just see it over there. Look there, the terracotta pot, little one. So I'm hoping that my bird of paradise grows nice and big as well and grows actual birds. So this is what I was going to tell you about. Today, this time of year, there's lots of flowers. This is Calendula. Calendula is one of my favourites to grow because it looks really pretty. It's a bright bunch of, of colour, and you can eat the flowers. There are lots of different... No, I'm kidding. You can eat the flowers. There are lots of different edible petals and stuff in the garden. They make really cute sprinkling on top of... I haven't really tasted anything, which sort of begs the point, what's the point in eating them, I suppose. But anyway, they make cute little decoration on top of salads and stuff like that. But when they go over, they do look pretty ropey. So what they look like is that. Ta-da! So what I tend to do is I cut them back pretty readily. However, if you leave them a tiny bit, this is what you get. And you get seeds. And each of the little inner parts of the flower, and these make great cut flowers too, by the way, so you can bring them in, grow loads of them. But if you leave them, you get these little sort of gnarly, sort of seedy bits, right? So if you can bear it long enough, leave them. And this is the same for any flower you've got in your garden. If you're not sure if you can grow it from seed, just leave it. Let it go dry like this. And then you can cut it back and then pick out the seeds. So I'll just take one of these and you'll see that inside there are these little sort of corns. And that there is a calendula seed. It sort of looks like a dried worm or something, I suppose. And so you can pick them out individually like this if you've got an awful lot of time and no friends. Or you can do what I do and grab an envelope and just shake the hooja out of him. So little tip that I just found. I don't know if this will be of any use to anybody, but seed envelopes, don't buy seed envelopes. You can buy special envelopes with seed written on and stuff like that. And you pay more for them. It's utterly pointless. You just need a paper envelope. Brown paper envelope is better. I use wage envelopes because they still exist. Who gets paid in wage envelopes anymore? Maybe people, I don't know. But little tip, don't use like a standard greetings card envelope because you'll see here it has the little line. So here there's a gap. And so the smaller seeds fall out. You want an envelope that has a base like this. So it's been folded up and glued, so there's no, or the other way around, the wage envelopes are the top slip. So it's just, it's a pocket envelope, I think it's called. Whereas this one, obviously, if you put seeds into there, potentially, if they're little, they're going to fall out of that little foldy crease at the bottom there. So just a little tip that I found the hard way. Label it first. So I'm going to label these here, because once the seeds are in there, it's difficult to write on it. And you want to be careful you don't pierce the envelope because they fall out. So I'm going to write calendula on here. There we go. Little also tip is to write the month and the year that you collected them. Possibly the place as well, because we've all found that bunch of, pack of seeds in the back of a drawer somewhere and thought, oh, I don't know whether, are they viable or not. And if they're a couple of years old, they're probably dried out and they're not going to be viable. And you just waste the time. You waste a load of compost, you waste a load of time, put the year on it. I tend to give it 2 years and I don't bother anymore. But anyway, this is what happened. So you get your envelope like this, you open it up, you get your seed head, it's a dried calendula flower, and you just sort of flick it all over the floor. And you just sort of break it up into the envelope. And so what you end up with, I'm just going to pop that one in there from earlier, and that one from earlier, and this one, clearly not as, oh, and the ones on the floor as well. And what you end up with is, there you go, an envelope full of seeds. So you can seal that. Best place for that, if you've listened to Roots, Wings and Other Things, the podcast, best place for that is in the fridge in a Tupperware container with one of those little silica gel sachets. And I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to say, Jez, where do you get those silica gel sachets from? Well, normally when you buy stuff. So am I encouraging you to do internet shopping? Possibly. Then you can buy all the stuff online. Eventually you'll get something with a silica sachet. So that was the purpose of the internet shopping, right? And then you can put that in a Tupperware container with these. The silica sachet absorbs the moisture, and the coolness from the fridge keeps them at an ambient temperature that stabilizes them. And it was the lovely Christine Walkden from various different gardening fames that told us all about that, because she worked at a place that preserved and grew seeds. And that was what they did. So she's done it ever since. And I'd never heard of it. And I just thought that was a brilliant idea. Because if you keep seeds hot or moist, they ruin, they spoil. But cold, just like, allegedly Walt Disney being on ice, same deal. But it's the same for all flowers. So if you're not sure and you think, oh, I really love that flower, I want a free version of that, or I want more of it, this is the time of year that when they dry out, cut them and then save the seeds. And if you're not sure, you could cut a few back and dry them anyway. The best way to dry flowers is upside down. If you dry them this way, the moisture goes into the this bit here. What's that called? The stem, thanks. They flop and rot and stuff. So hold them upside down, tie them, and then they dry better. And then you've got a better chance of seeing if there's seeds. Same with hollyhocks as well. Hollyhocks, I always think, in the new garden, I'm not sure I'm gonna grow hollyhocks. We've had some massive hollyhocks this year. Mr. Adorable stood next to one and it was about 3 times the height of him. It was a proper chainsaw, timber, wasn't quite that big, but it was big. but they grow. You get these lovely little flowers, and then the rest of it looks all rubbish for ages. So the jury's out about hollyhocks. But same thing, cut it back and let it dry. And this has started to dry. And so inside here, you take one of the heads that was a flower, and you'll see that in here, she was brilliant, Kath. You're absolutely right. Oh, by the way, Kath, you won the competition. Your T-shirt only arrived yesterday, so it's going in the post on Tuesday. You will have your congratulations. And so in here, if you think, oh, I wonder if you can grow hollyhocks, I'll keep it, have a little look. When it dries out a bit, just pull apart the flower. And if you find these little strange things that look anything remotely like that, and you think, oh, I don't know what that is, that's a seed. Anything that's dried inside that flower is a seed. And so therefore, ergo, crikey, there's loads of them. You can grow, I've never done this before, you can grow hollyhocks from seed, and there are absolutely loads of seeds inside a hollyhock head. So try it. Get free seeds for your garden for the next season, and also for friends as well. Cardoons are another great one as well. You can cut open any flower and just see. It's better to let it dry because it's more obvious that it's seeds. I remember cutting open, I can't remember for the life of me what it was now. It might have been a hollyhock. Or rattle them if you let them go dry. And if you're like me and you don't really like, some flowers are really ornamental left dry in the garden, but others just look a bit scrappy. I think digitalis looks a bit scrappy. So cut it down to where the leaf is and then go store it somewhere dry, like your shed or something like that. Let it dry out properly and come back to it in a couple of weeks' time. And if it's, or a week's time or something, or like this, when I cut them fresh like this, I leave them a couple of days to dry out in the house before I go fishing through the buds to see if there's seeds inside. That's just the way I do it, but I'm sure there's a million other ways that you can do it as well. I've been talking an awful lot and not drinking. I'm really thirsty. Parched, some may say. The really nice thing about going into the garden and looking for those seeds is that the following year, you get to sow them, and it's as simple as, God, there's an awful lot of faff, isn't there? Gardeners are other people that get a bit pretentious with everything. I just get a box. We'll do another session of this. When I move and we start doing, oh yes, Carol, Nigella are great. And they're out there. If I could show you, there's a massive bundle of them, and that's my job today. I'm going to water the houseplants because it's Sunday, obviously. I tell you what has changed on a Sunday, because I don't like getting up too early on a Sunday. I used to, hang around on a Sunday in the house in my pyjamas, but now I can't do that because I've got to be up and dressed for 11, right? So I've started watering my plants afterwards. So you've stopped my near naked plant watering. What can I say? Probably thank you. And thanks on behalf of the neighbours as well. So I'm going to water the plants, and then I'm going to get out in the garden with more clothes on than I would like to at the end of August, and cut back some of those, save them. They look great for dried flower arrangements as well. And do a little bit of gardening today, I think. There's some pots I want to move around, ready for the big move. Plant up some stuff in pots, move some of that around, do some cutting back, all that kind of jazz. So that'd be nice. You know what we should start? Mark and I were talking about this. Mark's here. There he is. Mark and I were talking about this. We should start on Instagram, or us, Jez and the Jezettes. I don't know. I made that up. I don't know what to call you. Friends, Instagram friends. We should start a seed or cuttings swapping thing, shouldn't we? Where you send in a cutting and I send one back, or you send in some seeds and I send some seeds back, and we could do this amazing sharing thing. And I was thinking about this more because with the big move, I'm definitely thinking that that's an obvious thing to do, right? I'm now getting to the point where I'm taking lots of cuttings to take with me. I'm collecting loads of seeds to grow in the new garden. I'm designing the new garden. That's why I was a little bit late with my tea, because I've been starting all of the amazing process of shed loads of different areas and garden draft designs and stuff for the garden, and different things to do and plant and stuff before I get down to doing an actual design. So I thought, wouldn't it be really cool while I'm doing all of these if I've got, because right, there's an acre of plants here. There's an awful lot of seeds and cuttings and stuff. So I'm going to take a load more than I need, and I think we should somehow collaboratively share that. Of course, because the world's gone mad and people aren't trustworthy anymore, there's a load of nonsense, and so you can't share details and stuff. So we'll have to do some sort of GDPR nonsense opt-in thing where you agree to share your address so that you can get free plants or something. But I think that would be amazing, wouldn't it? I'll work it out and we'll find out a way to do it, because wouldn't that be lovely just to share the love of gardening, like sharing seeds and plants? Mark and I have done it a little bit. I've got one of Mark's plants over there. I forget what it's called. Will you remind me, Mark? Oh, maybe you have it in the letter you sent me as well. I'll have a little look. Kath says, please not Jezettes. You've got it. That's fine. So listen, I'm going to go water my plants. Somebody asked me the other day about feeding them. I feed them every 4 times I water, so every 4 weeks for me, with a bit of seaweed fertiliser. I don't bother with all this nonsense of house plant feed and stuff. You can spend far too much money than you need to. It's the same stuff I feed the outside with. It's just a generic seaweed fertiliser, nice and organic. So listen, happy Sunday. It's been absolutely, utterly glorious speaking with you again. Hopefully next week I'll have left clothes on. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Oh, next week I'm at a stag do. I'll see how that goes. I'll still do it with you. It'll be fine. It just might be a tiny bit chaotic. I might have to go off and find some signal somewhere. If there isn't any signal, I'll get Mr. Adorable to put a little note on my Instagram to say that we can't do it next week. But I really hope we can, because I'm loving this. You have a wonderful Sunday, everybody, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.